You go fishing every week. Enough. You catch girls instead of fish? You to be kidding me?
I'm one talking too fast, and my husband phone is just getting anxious. Of course, I won't forgive him. That's how much damage this man has done. I don't want to see your face again. You regret it soon enough. My name is Lisa. I'm a 35-year-old woman. My only daughter, Ava, graduated from college a while ago and has been working since spring. At the same time, she started living on her own, but she seems to be having a hard time balancing work and household chores, which she wasn't used to. Whenever a weekend comes around, she helps.
Help me, Mom. I can't clean my room.
I feel sorry for her, but I'm still myself for not being able to let go, child. But I'm so happy that she relies on me to help her out. Otherwise, I would have ended up spoiling her. It seems my husband is the same way.
Are you going to Ava's again? You better watch out for any sign of a man.
What a thing to say. Brian, my husband, and I met in college and started dating at a reunion. We got married after 3 years of dating. A few years later, we had Ava. And then for a little while, I worked part-time, but I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past few years. I was able to concentrate on raising my child, and Ava has grown up to be an honest child. Of course, I am grateful to my husband for creating this environment. I had no idea that he had betrayed me.
Well, I'm off then.
On his day off from work, my husband went fishing without a care in the world. He got hooked on fishing when his boss invited him to go fishing. He has all kinds of equipment and fishing every time he has a day off days. I was a little happy that we would spend more time together as a coup that we had finally finished raising. In reality, however, that was not the case. Although we did not have any conversions, we were feeling a little inadequate. My daughter Ava said to me with a disappointed look on her face,
Dad's an idiot, leaving you alone. Come back to me again.
No, honey. I am grateful to your father.
I said that because I knew she would want to see her parents getting along. I had no choice but to put such work together. Besides, I felt that married couples' world are like this. My husband is the only son, and we currently live near his parents' house to care for them in the future. Some of our friends said it was unbelievable, but it didn't bother me. The reason for that was my in-laws.
Is Lisa home? I brought too much cake, so I thought I'd bring some over to share with you.
My energetic mother-in-law shouted from the front door. Ever since I got married, my mother, my husband's mother, has helped me. Whenever we fight, she always took. When I had a hard time raising my Av, always there for me. My father-in-law is the complete opposite of my mother-in-law, who has a calm and easygoing personality and speaks with a gruff voice.
Lisa, here are the sweets you told liked. I bought them. Let's eat them together.
Sometimes he would visit us without. My father-in-law is already retired. Recently, I have been enjoying having lunch with my in-laws at their house. However, my husband doesn't seem to pay attention to his own parents. When I talk about my in-laws, it goes in one ear and out the other. Still, he seems to be grateful to me.
Thank you for being such good friends with our parents.
I was happy to hear him say that from time. However, my mother-in-law seems to be a little more involved in our circle.
Why don't we invite Ava too, and we can all go on a trip together once in a while?
I thought it was cute for her to say a bit of a mousy look on her face. My mother-in-law said I was being selfish. She says he's always had a weakness for he's always been stubborn. But just like my husband and I, she seems to love her child. It made me chuckle to think that, know what generation you are from, thing changed. Going for a trip?
Hey, how about a trip with your pair in a while?
I asked my husband about it at dinner.
What? I can't. I'm too busy with work. Besides, I'm supposed to go a little farther away on my next vacation with my boss.
With a sigh, he sweeps me off my feet.
But if you're looking to make a more significant change in your life, then it may be time to consider therapy.
I tell him, but in the end,
Have fun without me.
and he tapped me on the shoulder, and I didn't mean it that way. I told my in-laws about it.
Oh no, he's a total workaholic. Even if Lisa gives up on him, I will take his side.
Mother-in-law was laughing. I could see she was in shock and looked a little sad. These days, my husband is always working, just like my mother-in-law says. He used to participate in community work without fail. For the past few years, I've been participating alone. Thanks to the proximity of my in-laws' house, I can easily visit them whenever I want. I've also gotten to know my neighbors well. Many of them are elderly, so they like a daughter. Although my parents' home is far away from here, I am very thankful that I'm able to live peacefully in a strange land. It was during those days that my dad called me out of the blue.
Mom, look at this. Dad is cheating.
Ava, with an angry face, showed me. It seemed to have been uploaded on networking site. Ava's friend seems to be addicted to these days. As I was looking at it, I found a small photo of my husband, strange woman, in the back of the pic. It was so small that I could barely out by zooming in. Maybe my daughter is suited to be an artist or something, I thought to myself. I looked at the enlarged photo and a sigh of relief.
No, Ava. The woman here next to you is your boss.
We've seen her at company events and occasions, but for the past few years, Brian and I have been able to attend. No wonder Ava doesn't remember her. I'm sure that somewhere in my heart, there was a slight suspicion that my husband was cheating on me. I remember feeling relieved from my heart.
Oh no, I thought it was wrong.
I stroked my daughter's head, who was a little embarrassed.
I hugged her and said, "Thank you for worrying about me."
No wonder Dad's so popular.
My daughter giggles. My husband and my daughter had been less and less as she got older. But through me, they'd talk about how they were going to be together. He said something about me, Hausa and such. Was smiling at how much they were enjoying themselves. Come to think of it, I haven't touched a social networking site recently. When I first joined, I used to enjoy pictures. But for the past few years, I've been completely neglecting it. When I opened the site for the first while, I found it in a ridiculous, "What the hell is this?" I immediately told my daughter about it. After that, my husband's attitude changed in any way while I spend my state of uncertain. Maybe he's worried about my attitude. There must be something he's doing behind my back.
Lisa, you haven't been feeling well lately.
My husband said with a worried look face.
Nothing, but sometimes your parents are lonely, so you should go out with them.
I replied with a smile.
Right. Okay. I'll visit my next day off.
He said in a loud voice. It doesn't have to be a vacation. It's so close you should go now. That's what I thought. My husband spent his next holiday, as declared, doing all sorts of things due for his parents. The next day, my in-laws came to see us. They looked so happy.
We went fishing together, but the fish we caught was bigger. I was so disappointed.
My father-in-law smiled happily. On the way home from fishing, they stopped at their in-laws' house. It was the first time in a long time family had a chance to get together. My in-laws seemed so happy all the time. I had no idea at the time that some terrible would happen a few days late. That day, my husband left home early morning as usual. I asked him where he was going.
I'm going fishing with Dad and that good time with me the other day. I'm glad that he was happy. Well then.
He was strangely excited to go fish his father. I gave him a cold look. However, I had plans to go shopping daughter that day, so I went to the place. It was a very hot day with a maximum temperature of 98. While Ava and I were cooling off and my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law's name on the envelope, so I thought to invite her here for a tea party.
Lisa, Lisa, come quickly. My husband collapsed.
Hearing my mother-in-law was panicked, very upset. Ava, who was standing next to me, worried about what was going on. I took a deep breath and listened to my mother-in-law's story. And it seems that my father-in-law had been rushed to the emergency room with a heat stroke. A fisherman found him lying alone in a fishing spot, and a neighbor who happened to be at the fishing spot and knew my father-in-law contacted my mother-in-law. That's when a question came to me. So I called Brian, thinking he might know a good fishing spot, but I couldn't reach him at all. But he was going fishing with his father. I had never heard such an anxious voice from my mother-in-law, who was always so cheerful. So I started to tear up as well.
Ava is with me now. We'll be right there soon. It's going to be okay.
I hang up the phone and rush to the hospital with my daughter. I called my husband on the way to the hospital, but he didn't respond. What are you doing at a time like this? When we arrived at the hospital, we were told that the treatment was over and my father-in-law had already been moved to another hospital room. When I entered the room, I found my father-in-law asleep with an IV connected. My mother-in-law sat helplessly by his side. According to my mother-in-law's experience, my father-in-law's body temperature when he was brought to the hospital was very high. As I looked at them with tears and my husband finally called me on my phone.
Hello?
My husband sounded very upset. I could sense it in his low voice.
Oh, Lisa, I lost my father. Do you know what?
He said such a silly thing. I guess my husband thought something was wrong that I didn't say anything.
We split up as soon as we got to the grounds. Dad's a beginner. When I came back, he was gone. He left on his own. That's terrible, you think?
He laughed at me.
Your father is in the hospital and fault.
What?
I told him quietly. I got angry at him for saying nothing.
You go fishing like a fool every week. Enough.
That's what I yelled and hung up. When I returned to the hospital room, my father-in-law was awake. He had recovered enough to have conversation with me. We were all relieved when the doctor said he would be in the hospital for a while, but he would be fine. According to my father-in-law, when they arrived at the fishing spot, my husband immediately told him to leave his belongings and disappear. When Brian didn't come back, his father-in-law went back to the car. The car was gone. So my father-in-law waited at the spot. He said he started to feel sick and he knew he was in a hospital. I was furious because that's not what my husband told me. When I got home from the hospital, we're on in the house, which meant was home. When I entered the room with my mother and daughter, we were surprised to see my husband and a woman we didn't know.
Hey guys.
My husband awkwardly spoke to us. Of course, I ignored him.
May I ask who you are?
I said to the woman,
Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I am your husband's subordinate. Your husband is a perfect boss. He taught me how to fish again today. Never expected.
My husband looked at the woman who deeply meant something to me with a sense of appreciation. Are you crazy? And this woman think, idiot.
I don't know what my husband does of a boss, but please leave.
My daughter Ava seemed to have reached her limit when she saw the woman's mistake, my words.
Leave already. It is obvious that are having an affair. I have been monitoring Mom, social networking sites. You nasty creep.
Ava was right. I opened my social media site for the first time in a long while and found it filled with likes from a friend I didn't know. And It was all done only on photos that showed my husband, Brian. It was this Vanessa girl who always liked me. I knew it because of her. I've been made a fool of. At Ava's words, Vanessa started giggling.
Ma'am, that's why I want you to leave as soon as possible.
I almost grabbed her when she said, but as I held down the thought, ire that this woman was not worth it, my mother-in-law brought a knife from the kitchen and yelled, "Get out of my house!"
Get out of here, both of you.
This is a nightmare.
And while Vanessa said so, my husband was yelling at us saying,
What the hell? What's the big deal? It's just an affair. Besides, Lisa, who do you think your life to?
my husband, with a smug look on his, and the cheating partner gave her an evil look on her face. I can no longer be bothered with them.
It must be thanks to me that I do the cooking. It's all thanks to us that we get to eat every day.
He might think I would cry in frustration, but he couldn't say anything.
Well, anyway, I'm divorcing you.
He said this with a look of triumph face. So I divorced my husband and went to live with my daughter for a while. Apparently, my ex-husband had been having an affair for several years. I guess Vanessa got annoyed with my ex-husband who never got divorced. She started messing with me through networking sites. She's happy to be married to Brian, happy to pay the alimony. It seemed like fishing was always via hobby. The day my father-in-law collapsed up there and fishing together in a secluded, not many people were around. So much so that you didn't even knot. The ambulance sirens went off. Are you too stupid? I couldn't help but wonder. This wasn't the only thing that disgusted me. My ex-husband's boss was also having an affair with one of his subordinates, using fishing as an excuse to have secret meetings. I felt nauseous when I found out that sometimes they went straight to a hotel. The picture my daughter showed me at first was the scene of a secret. It was so easy for them not to know watching them at any time. I had my revenge on my ex-husband, a look of triumph on his face.
Look, Mom, that woman is seriously trouble.
My daughter showed me a picture. It was a picture of Vanessa's secret social account. Of course, there were pictures of my ex-husband and his ex-boss and their partners, including Vanessa. And in the pictures, they're holding hands in a hotel room. You should know the harshness of the real world. What a saying. I later anonymously sent the photo to my ex-husband's company. Of course, upper management was furious. My ex-husband and his boss got demoted. I don't know how humiliating that may have been for the former subordinate to boss, but he got what he deserved. It seems that Vanessa left the company after she and my ex-husband got married. The house is still mortgaged. The ex-husband's salary must have dropped considerably after he was demoted. And most importantly, it's a great way to meet new people who share your interests.
Look, it's her. She's not a good kicker. She's kicking Lisa out.
The neighbors are giving Vanessa the shoulder. She's been fighting with Brian about how it wasn't supposed to be like this, saying it wasn't what she expected. I don't care. It's a mistake to think that you can happily destroy someone's life. You should know that the real world is not always easy. After my father-in-law got out of the hospital, he said,
I'm ashamed to have such a stupid... Don't want to see him ever again.
So they sold the house and moved into a senior care facility together. Even without this incident, they had been talking about it for a while and had to apply for it.
We never intended for you to have to care of us. Thank you for being so us, Lisa.
My ex-mother-in-law told me that. I still go visit them with my daughter twice a month. We're going on a one-day trip with some friends to go out of town. Even though Brian and I divorced, still very important to me. As for me, although there is some sell money for alimony, I am 35 years old with almost no experience. What on earth can I do? And then my daughter, Ava, asked me I was good at.
Well, housework?
I answered with a laugh.
That's perfect.
She replied with a straight face. With a puzzled look on my face, Mai told me that there was a profession housekeeping. This seemed to be my calling. Although only cleaning and cooking, my clients were very grateful. My ex-husband would thank me for talking about in-laws. But when it was just my husband and I, he never thanked me for anything because he took it for granted. I love my job. Last month, I was named first place and won the MVP award. Ava is working hard too. Before I realized Jay, she has improved cleaning and cooking skills. The other day, she made my favorite. She buys the same seasonings and ingredients as me to make it taste just like mine. I love my daughter who talks with a shyness. I hugged her tightly and said, "There, now that my income is increasing, I'm planning to move into a bigger apartment next month." Recently, my daughter and I have been the rounds of real estate agencies' days off.
What do you want for dinner? Whatever you want, Mom. It's on me today.
I wondered what was going to happen. It looks like life is going to be a roller coaster ride from now on.